Welcome to the Leadership We Need Now, a space where we talk about kind, caring, and courageous leadership. I'm Stacey Dye, and I've been a nonprofit director, strategist, and an executive coach for over 20 years. And today I want to talk about female leadership. I really have a ton to say about this, probably multiple videos about this. But one thing I really wanted to talk about was some of the challenges that affect us as women as we lead in today's world. And it's interesting because when I was thinking about titling this or thinking about the introduction, I almost called it, I don't want to be a bitch, but I thought that probably isn't going to appeal to everyone in the audience. But it's kind of true. When I think about the past 20 years and when I'm working with others or when I'm planning a project or designing an idea or doing a construction project or doing something really different, there are so many times where I've had to start a sentence with, I don't mean to be a bitch, but um, when what I really was saying is, I'm very clear on my vision. I understand what's happening. I am very educated about the topic. I have talked to people. I have researched this. I do understand what I'm talking about. But sometimes, as women, when we deliver a message, we have to preface it, if we are clear, with the fact that clarity almost equals being a bitch as a woman, or understanding who you are, understanding what you want is the equivalent of being a bitch. And so it's a real challenge to balance these gender roles where our expectations are very high, that we aren't emotional, that we aren't weak, or that we are going to fall apart if something bad happens, with the feelings of being too loud, too sharp, too opinionated, too bitchy, too whatever. And that's complicated. Those gender roles are very complicated. And for us, in my nonprofit field, it is definitely a little different because most of the people sitting at the table are women. So you don't have to have that preface. When you're clear, when you're honest, when you're transparent, when you're authentic, it doesn't mean you're a bitch. It means that you're all of those words, right? Like all those positive words. And so leading as a female is very difficult, um, as I'm sure it is for any minority. And my experience is that I can speak to, especially as I'm like experiencing things now, I see it. And as I've gotten older and more experienced and more confident, it is easier to stop starting a conversation with, I don't mean to be a bitch, but saying things like, I want to be very clear. I do know what I want. I don't know how to get there, but I know what I want. So I don't need that piece. What I need is execution. What I need is a consultant to do this. What I need is a contract to do this. What I need is an employee to do that. And so it's very difficult to grow into that because there's um, so much negative just coming at you as a female leader. And so this isn't a conversation that is, just around this topic. This is like one thing that's, happening in real life to me. And I thought, this still makes me mad, that I have to do this in 2025. And so I think that as we do this, we need to, as women, think about how to watch our own conversations about ourselves. If we come in and we're very busy and we have a lot of stuff that we're balancing at work and also balancing all of the unpaid work that we do at home and all of the societal responsibilities that we have, if we're coming in and we're not as organized as we like to be, we need to watch ourselves to not say, oh, I'm all over the place, or I don't know what I don't even know where I'm at or what I'm doing. I know that's an icebreaker, a way to kind of put everybody's barriers down in the room. But we need to make sure that we are careful about our language about ourselves, because that gives the impression that we don't have our shit together. and we 100% have our shit together. We just have so much shit to handle that you might have walked into a meeting and picked up the wrong file, or you might have not have responded to an email as quick as you would have liked. Whatever it is, you can simply say that. I grabbed the wrong file. Let me grab this. Let me come back. And we can talk about this in a few minutes. Or let me get my bearings straight. Let me get everything. I'm going from one thing to another. I want to make sure I can give you my full attention and focus and not feel like I'm trying to finish up something that I've kind of packed into my day. And I think that when we start to change the way we talk about ourselves, whether it's that I'm all over the place, or I don't mean to be a bitch, or whether it's even something as simple as like self-deprecating jokes among friends, that is fantastic. I love it. Queen of it, 100%. But when you do it in a professional setting, it adds to like the chipping of your professional abilities. Whether that's intended or not, you are, making everybody laugh or make everybody like you. But what you're also doing is there giving them the ability to question, is there a line of truth in that? Are you really all over the place? Are you really a bitch? Are you really somebody difficult to work with? Are you really somebody who doesn't know how to keep their work straight? So instead of giving people that impression, you can simply say what's happening. I grabbed the wrong file again. I haven't had the time to prepare that I would like, so I would prefer to have a delay on the meeting. If you can give me another few hours or another day, I'll be more able to give you my full attention. And I think that when we start to do that, when we start to have more positive conversations about ourselves, then it will not eliminate, limit the conversation that others can have about us. And I think that when even I think about myself at my age, at my experience, at my level of knowing what I want, I still run into this. I still run into feelings of self doubt when, someone makes a jab, or not feeling like I can speak up to something if I pay for a contract and it's not what I want. There's an inability to say that sometimes, even. And I understand that about myself. So I am a work in progress too. I'm not, fully evolved in getting all this right. I'm saying these are things I experienced too after all of this time. So if you're new to this, if you're new to a role, if you're new to leadership, if you're new to a position, don't take this as something personal. Take this as a way to change the way society thinks about female leadership. Because I can tell you, working with female leaders has been the joy of my career. Very, when we talk about these things, women think ahead. Women are 4 steps ahead of what's happening in the moment. Women come very prepared, making sure that they don't want to appear stupid, or they don't know what they're doing, or that they're not doing their job, or that they're lazy. There are so many strategic things that women have to think about in the way they navigate the world, whether that's things like how much makeup to wear, what to wear to a meeting or an event, how much to say, how much to not say, how to say it, how to sit, how to not crush your arms so you look like you're aggressive, how to small talk, how to be able to communicate your idea without hurting others' feelings. All those things are really strategies that we use every day in our work life, but then we also strategize in the world in itself. It's the conversation of when you're at a dark gas station, making sure you carry your key between your knuckles, make sure you stand in the light, make sure you act like you're talking on the phone with someone so someone would know where you are, make sure you're pinging your location so that if you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, someone could find you. So all of these things are strategies of how we live each day. And I think that's transferable to a lot of minority groups. And so as we're thinking about this, we are strategizing, we're using that muscle all day, every day. And so, how do we make sure that we're talking about ourselves in the correct way, communicating our ideas clearly without feeling like we have to, preface it with, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't mean to, or do you care if, is it okay if, asking for permission and even apologizing for showing up and being yourself. And so as we start to do that for ourselves, we can hope that the world will start to see us different. And if they don't, then we need to make sure that we see each other that way, that we find ways to support each other, that we find ways to communicate and share in the burden of what that looks like. And so, whether or not I started this with, I don't want to be a bitch, or not, but this is really an important conversation that I'm sure there are people, men typically, who would look at this and be like, oh, it's so much easier because of this. And oh, women are more emotional, or women are this, or women are that. Probably need to scroll to another page because this isn't your audience. But I will say for the female leaders out there, it is tough, and it is something that we need to navigate together. And all of these stereotypes, whether we're a woman or whether minority or whatever, we need to really make sure that we don't help that process. We don't, you know, extend that communication so that we include ourselves in how we talk about ourselves and each other. And so please like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and good luck out there, ladies. And don't be afraid to be a bitch or clear or authentic or real or emotional, because we need people like you. We need leaders who are all those things. And that's the future of leadership to me.